Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of the Run in the Paint podcast. I'm Miles. I'm here with Jackson, Joey, and Nick. Guys, how are you doing today?
Going good, going great.
What's up? What's up, fellas? What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Doing good, Jackson. How are you doing? Are you still knocking things over?
Dude, I just know I opened my mouth just because I was getting ready to talk and my jaw cracked or something. It hurt. I don't even know, dude.
Oh, I can already tell this is going to be a very fun episode. We've got a lot planned. We've got 5 of our final 10 burning questions this episode, and we've got some key ones, such as Defensive Player of the Year, NBA Cup winner, player under the most pressure. So definitely stay tuned for that. We got some preseason to talk about. We've got a little preseason drama on our hands, guys. But first, we are going to start off with potentially a new segment. Jackson potentially thought of this. Shout out to my man Joe.
Potentially thought of this. This is blasphemy.
But a new segment on a kind of old game, a little bit, maybe a couple years old at this point. But it is Poetl. We are going to play Poetl today.
Miles, can you explain to the viewers what exactly Poetl is, just in case?
Yes. So basically, Poetl, if you don't know, it's just Wordle, but NBA related. You're trying to just guess a player, and you're given different hints and stuff like that based on the number, team, height, division, so stuff like that. So let's get into it. We have to guess a player right off the bat. Jackson, Jackson, you think of a player first for us to start off with. Also, play along at home if you guys want.
I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going with Ben Simmons.
Oh,
Ben Simmons.
Stop it.
Ben Simmons
I'm done already.
Ben Simmons coming off of a good preseason game last night as we're recording. All right, decent guess.
Oh, what a guess.
So we know this is going to be a Western Conference player who's exactly 28 years old. I already have a guess in mind for a player.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking maybe Brandon Ingram, because coming from the same draft class as Ben Simmons, he's probably going to be the same age. His number's going to be up a little bit, height a little lower.
I mean, if you want to
what number is he?
14.
Okay.
Should we give it a try?
Let's do it.
Let's try Brandon Ingram, dude. If this is right, dude, oh my gosh.
I'm going to lose.
Dang, all right.
Oh.
He's 27. What a guy.
So he's
6'9". Nice.
6'9" forward in the West. Who wears a high number.
No, wait, he's too young for that.
Jeremy Grant?
He wears the number 9.
Oh, wait, he wears 9. Yeah.
So, that's the thing. The jersey
numbers. I think out loud.
The jersey numbers can screw this up a little bit.
Yeah, it can.
All right, let me think. Let's have a thinking session. Oh, is it Aaron Gordon?
28 years old.
32. Number 32.
Number 32.
Yeah.
Not in that division. Might be Aaron Gordon. Let's try.
He'd be a forward.
Yeah, he'd be a forward. All right, Aaron Gordon. I think you might be right, Coughlin. No, but he has played for the Denver Nuggets before, and we know that this guy's a Pacific Division member, so he'll be the
and they counted his 50 number, not his 32.
Oh, it hasn't updated or whatever.
Okay, so it's lower than 50.
So we know that he's either a Laker, Warrior, Clipper, Sun, or King with the Pacific Division.
Could it be... No, he's number 14. I was thinking Terrence Mann.
And a former Denver Nugget. We could totally get this on Try 4.
Is it Slow-Mo?
No, he's never played for the Nuggets.
Oh, yeah. I forgot they played for the Nuggets.
It's not Bones Highland. He's a guard. And he's too young.
You're cooked, Chad. You're cooked. It could be a Warrior. It's not a Warrior.
It's not a Warrior?
If it for a center, I thought Yusuf Nurkic could work, but it's not going to be him.
Yeah.
It's probably a little too tall.
Yeah, true. 6'9".
It's going to be like an out-of-pocket player. Kings? Who's the backup 3 for the King or 4? Could it be Trey Lyles?
Oh, Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles. It's
Gotta be Trey Lyles.
It's definitely Trey Lyles. Come on. Yes, let's
There
go.
it is.
Trey Lyles in 4 guesses. Good job, team. We'll definitely do better than 4 in future episodes, but this is a decent start. We didn't have to go, the full 7 or whatever. So,
yeah, as long as we stay below, I'm happy.
Yes, I'll take a
Easy.
4 for sure.
Good guess, boys.
Good job, guys. I think all the players we guessed were pretty good, so definitely we'll take that. But now let's get into a little bit of news from the pre-season. We're going to get to the Dante DiVincenzo drama in a little bit because he kind of goes along with something that I was already planning for this episode. And it's kind of another run-of-the-paint film sesh type thing, but this time it's checking up on some players who have changed teams this offseason, and we're kind of seeing some old faces in new places for the very first time and seeing how they can impact their new team. So first up, we're going to go with one of the bigger names to switch teams, could have a big impact in the Western Conference, DeMar DeRozan of the Sacramento Kings.
Let's go!
Against the Golden State Warriors in a game last week, 15.6 assists from the field in his very first game, and everything just looked pretty seamless. I mean, you're going to be seeing a lot of this. Shots right from around that foul line after Sabonis hands off the ball. It seems like the Kings are going to get off to, a little bit of a good start here because DeRozan does fit into how they play.
Oh, he is a perfect fit for him.
You can see these guys are draped all over DeMar. I mean, these are going to be tough shots that he hits against any team that, unless you put, a 7-footer on him, he's going to have a pretty good shot at getting those middies off.
Look at that, even hitting a 3.
Corner 3 as well. So good to see DeMar DeRozan's played a couple games since then, but good in his first game there in Sacramento. Get him going. But on the other side, a former Sacramento King on the Warriors side, Buddy Hield, has been balling for the Warriors so far in the preseason.
You guys know I'm behind the Warriors.
Sorry.
But Buddy Hield, 8 of 9, 6 of 7 from 3 in this game, just cashing in buckets. Buddy Hield is going to love this Warriors system because he's going to love being able to just fire away whenever he wants.
I do like the old faces and new places segment. It's a good name.
But yeah, Buddy Buckets, man. It'll be interesting to see who the Warriors end up starting because so far in the preseason, all of those guys at that off-guard position have been playing very well. Buddy Hield, Podziemski, DeAnthony Melton, even Moses Moody has had some crazy games. So it's definitely not going to be an easy decision, but a game like this for Buddy Hield definitely helps his case there to try to get into that starting lineup.
That's crazy.
Especially, I know you guys are a little bit more down on the Warriors. You think it could go another way if Steph gets hurt. That's a guy who's highly tradable in the future, possibly.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be very valuable for the Sixers last year. I think in other situations he would definitely be very solid, but I think he'll be pretty good on the Warriors.
Win.
What was that, Jackson?
I said if he played for a team that could actually make it out of the second round.
I mean, I can't say anything against that at this point. All right, now a couple of veteran guys going to some young rebuilding teams who have been really helping out so far. First up, Tobias Harris back in Detroit. In this game, just providing spacing. 22 points in this game, an efficient 8 of 13 from the field. All of these points coming in the first half. Solid defense just going inside. And in this game against the Phoenix Suns in particular, it showed how much he could help out the spacing for the Pistons. Cade Cunningham was 1 board shy of a triple-double in the preseason, 25 points, 10 assists in this game. And a lot of it was because of how Tobias Harris started, just the ability to space the floor and get shots from the outside.
This is going to be a very different Detroit team than we saw last year. This was a great pickup. Now we have JB as a good coach for them. They're not going to win a whole lot of games still, I don't think, but they're going to be very competitive and very watchable this year. And I'm very excited that Tobias Harris gets to show off again.
Dude, Jackson, like you said last episode, it wasn't the offense that was the problem last year with them. They have the bucket getters, and now you're gonna be able to see guys like Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren kind of really step into their own with a defensive-minded coach behind them. Another thing I was wondering is why isn't Tobias Harris getting on Twitter like complaining about having to fly to Phoenix for one game during the preseason?
I knew that was gonna get referenced sometime during this video.
Oh man.
Shout out to the King, man. Shout out to LeBron.
It just seems a little bit like too much, like going all the way across the country for one game
I know, right?
in October.
Unbelievable. They that should just not be
On a
allowed.
private jet. So sad. So sad.
Yeah, I don't know what LeBron was thinking there. I had a theory that maybe he lost a bet and let someone tweet from his page. Because, like, why would he actually say that? That was so dumb. But
He can say whatever he wants. Who cares?
yeah, I mean that is also fair.
He's my glorious Pookie.
Okay. Another veteran going to a rebuilding team that another guy that may not another team that may not win a whole lot of games, but Chris Paul to the Spurs, his passing has been so huge. And in this game, 8 assists, 0 turnovers, and a lot of these passes here, nothing crazy, but they're all plays that weren't really getting made by San Antonio guards last season. It's just going to help things out a whole lot. Just these simple advanced passes to score 8 seconds into the shot clock, like on this possession. Even here, fake a shot, inside pass to Sohan on the mismatch. Like, it's just so useful to have a guy like Chris Paul to facilitate things in San Antonio.
This is why people are very high on Wemby this year. He's got someone to get him the ball.
You're 17 or 18 for CP3. I mean, he looks like he's been in the league for that long, playing like that, just picking it apart against rookies and, two-way guys.
Yeah, I want to say I think this is going to be year 19 or something like that. Or no, this is going to be year 20. Oh my goodness.
Man.
It should be, no way. It's going to be year 18 or 19 because he was drafted in 06, right?
05.
05.
So it'll be year
05.
20. So it'll be year 20 by the end of the year. That's insane. No one's really talking about that. Chris Paul in his 20th season in the league. There are definitely some records that he could break this season, which we could get to later. But a final player who can get right into the big headline from Sunday night, Donte DiVincenzo for the Timberwolves. In a weird quirk in the preseason schedule, the Timberwolves playing the Knicks not even 2 weeks after they made the biggest trade of the summer. And in this game, you could tell Donte DiVincenzo made it a point to go at his former team, 15 points, 7 assists. He looked great out there in his first game back at the Garden. But there was definitely a little controversy during this game that was talked about, especially on social media. After getting this and one bucket, goes to the free throw line and yells at Tom Thibodeau on the bench, "Thanks for the trade, Tibbs. Thanks for the trade." And then says, "This is what happens when you let me run the show." What did you guys think about this?
I mean,
man, I don't know. DiVincenzo looks a little bit like I don't know, but he's got a beard going, which is definitely cool. Sorry. Someone else go.
Well, no, Jackson, did you have any reactions to this kind of happening to the Knicks bench?
I mean, I don't know necessarily why he's yelling at Tibbs. I mean, I feel like it's not all on Tibbs.
Yeah, and you see here, Knicks assistant coach Rick Brunson was getting into it with Donte DiVincenzo as well. That I was surprised to see after the game, but there's definitely some bad blood between at least DiVincenzo and the coaching staff, for sure, with the Knicks.
There has to be. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's gonna ruin his friendship with any of his boys. Obviously, even Jalen. I feel like Jalen's probably thinking, "Hey, why is my dad being a dickhead right now?" Like, let's be honest.
Whoa.
I mean, it's just the truth.
True. They made such a big deal about, well, at least even I did too, with the Villanova Knicks, and then they trade him before we can even see that on the court.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it has to put a salty taste in his mouth for that, because like he's probably so ready to play with his boys.
But I think he also wanted out. Just because I don't think that's what I've heard.
I know there were the reports for that, but to me personally, I wasn't really buying them just because playing with your boys again. They won a champion. They literally won a championship together.
It made sense
Yeah,
on both sides because what we mentioned right after the trade happened, DiVincenzo has really worked his whole career to get to this point. And then this offseason, in trading for Mikal Bridges, they traded for someone to replace him in the starting lineup. So his role was going to be back to being diminished a little bit. So I could, see it from that standpoint. Something that is crazy about this, though, at least as it goes to this podcast, is we had a little talk about an over-under count on how many times we would show the Nova Knicks graphic, and now it's dead.
It's dead.
It's dead. I'll
Gone.
probably delete this graphic. It's unbelievable that we never actually got to see it happen. But all in all, just fun to see some preseason drama. This never happens, and we're still a week from the regular season beginning, a week after this episode gets posted. So just excited to see some drama happen in the preseason.
Who says preseason doesn't matter? You always get a little fight.
Always get a little fight. That's right. Yeah, there have been some weird scraps the last couple of seasons for sure. I even remember being a Cavs fan, the Marcus Smart, J.R. Smith preseason fight that went to the courtside seats. That was unbelievable.
Yup.
But now let's get in. Now let's get into 5 more of our 30 key questions. And as the episodes keep on going, the questions get more hard hitting. So we've got 5 kind of difficult questions here to answer. Starting with question number 21. Which player is under the most pressure this season? There are a lot of different ways that you could tackle this one. But Jackson, let's get started with you. Which player do you think is under the most pressure to perform this season?
I mean, honestly, it's not going to surprise you guys, but I think it's Joel Embiid. I mean, I think he'll be under the most pressure. Well, I put another guy, but it's a guy that Miles mentioned, so I'm not going to take his thunder. But I think it's Joel Embiid. I mean, it's going to, it just keeps going towards his record every year that he doesn't make it out of the second round. And I feel like that's a lot of pressure. Like, being the only MVP to never make it out of the second round is kind of crazy. I mean, I know I'm known for being a hater, but I feel like even if I wasn't like a known hater, I feel like this would make sense just because, like I said, the only MVP to never make it out of the second round. And I feel like that's a big thing because if you're an MVP, you're supposed to be a guy that can kind of get it done. Joel Embiid kind of reminds me of Aaron Judge in that sense because he's great in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he hasn't always been the best. He was better last year, but he hasn't always been the best, if that makes sense.
Ironically enough, because I had a feeling that some of you guys were going to bring my player, I actually had Joel Embiid as my player under the most pressure.
Dude,
what?
Kind of Twilight Zone episode.
Unbelievable. But no, I do think Joel Embiid is a player that is under, a ton of pressure because of that very reason. He is the only MVP to not make it out of the second round. And although, you could say what you want about the foul baiting, I don't like, that part of his game or whatever. He is kind of a dirty player on the defensive side. But the way he plays, I mean, offensively, scoring 35 points a game last season when he played 30 points previous seasons, I respect how dominant of a player he is during the regular season. I think that he is one of the best in the game when he plays, but I obviously you can't fully say he's one of the best in the game because he isn't, consistent when it comes to playing games, staying healthy, and he hasn't made it out of the second round. So I think it is fair to say that there is a lot of pressure on him, to perform this coming season, especially playoff time. But as far as a player who is probably number one as far as pressure goes, Nick, why don't you go ahead? Because I'm guessing one of you guys have the other player.
I do have a guy that was previously mentioned. Let me just talk on Joel for a minute. He's even under more pressure now because, I mean, you brought in Paul George. and that puts a target on the Sixers back a bit as a top team in the East. My player is sorry, yeah, I lost my train of thought. My player is Jimmy Butler, in a contract year, and another guy who has actually kind of the opposite. Is really good in the playoffs, has a reputation for being really good in the playoffs, and then not so good in the regular season. That kind of shoots the Heat in the foot sometimes, and he gets a lot of flack for that. But I mean, even just thinking back to when they did make the finals a couple years ago, he gets a lot of credit for being the guy who carried them there, quote unquote. But you still had Bam Adebayo. I mean, you were out with Tyler Hero that whole series, that whole run, but those role players were really the guys who carried the Heat to that finals appearance and allowed them to knock off the Celtics and the Bucks when they were the 8th seed. And it was like guys like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus who really lit it up during the playoffs that year. It wasn't necessarily Jimmy himself.
That's very true.
It was Jimmy, but I think
We-
Jimmy's under a lot of pressure because he's in a contract year and he's kind of had a couple off seasons.
I definitely want to see him and the Heat team as a whole do better in the regular season, just to prove everybody wrong. At least the pressure on the regular season for them has to be there, because they have made the finals within the last 5 years. That's pretty recent to me.
Twice in the last 5 years.
Twice in the last 5 years. So, like, honestly, come to the playoffs, it's the regular season for me. They have the most pressure because they have the talent. They have the guys to do it. They just don't. I meant to say after he said Paul George, that being said, we did get news right before we started recording that he hyperextended his knee.
Yes, which is very unfortunate.
We don't know the timetable yet. I just got that update as well. Got a
Also,
little
some
later
more
than
Sixers,
you.
yeah, some more Sixers news that I just saw. Regarding Joel Embiid, he might never play a back-to-back ever again. That's what I've been seeing all day.
Which
I mean,
honestly, I'm
it's probably a
100%
good thing for
fine
him.
with. I would love to see that happen because it
Yeah.
should mean, I mean, it should lessen, the chances of him getting severely injured during the regular season. And he should be in good shape when it comes to playoff time. So I think that, that could definitely help them. Paul George already getting injured is not the best. Hopefully it's nothing too extremely serious. But the Sixers do have the depth this year to kind of bypass that a little bit, or at least better than they did last year, because they weren't an exceptional basketball team by any means last season. And a lot of it was because when Embiid was injured for more than half the year, it was Tyrese Maxey who was balling out, of course. Then Kelly Oubre. They traded for Buddy Hield to try to fix that up a little bit, but overall, it just was not the best formula. Tobias Harris on the Sixers, who was inconsistent in Philadelphia.
I mean, what was that? I lost my train of thought too.
Jackson, you said you were a known hater. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone call you that. Mostly it's unknown hater is what I've heard.
I don't know about that one.
You're so
Nick,
funny.
or Joey, what player do you have as under the most pressure?
I have Jalen Brunson, actually.
Ooh, interesting.
He is the guy. They just upgraded from Julius Randle. Like we were talking how Joel Embiid, they just got Paul George to help him out. They just upgraded from Julius Randle to Karl Anthony Towns, especially since they needed a bigger dude as well to get some boards, because Mitchell Robinson will probably be out for a while. But Jalen Brunson carried them a whole lot of the year last year, especially when Randle got injured and was out for like the second half of the year, and carried him into the playoffs. He got hurt at the end of the playoffs, but like realistically, he was getting them there. But they haven't made it past the second round yet either. If you're going to be the king of New York, especially of the New York Knicks, that fan base, you made it to the playoffs. You made it to the second round twice. You've had excuses that are legit, but they want more. They need more.
I see what you're saying.
Crave more. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
If you're going to be the Big Apple, you got to take a bite.
You have to. You have to be the
That's
man. You have to be the man, and you gotta prove it. You gotta prove it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the New York Knicks. I mean, there are honestly a lot of ways you could attack this kind of question. as far as this season goes and for the impact on their team, Jalen Brunson could definitely be up there because this is a season that the Knicks in a loaded Eastern Conference, or at least a deep Eastern Conference, the Knicks should rightfully so, I think, have the mindset of conference finals or bust, or even NBA finals or bust, because they have the defenders to combat a Tatum or Brown or the Celtics, which not a lot of
Yeah.
other teams can do. But if they are to get to that point, they need Jalen Brunson to play like he has the last couple seasons.
If he needs to play like a legit MVP contender, and if their ceiling for me is like NBA finals, but if they don't even make the conference finals, Jalen Brunson is going to have to get some criticism.
Do you think it'd be a disappointing
unless he
season?
gets injured, obviously.
If the Knicks didn't get past the second round, would this be a disappointing season?
Oh, 100%. Three second round exits in a row?
Yeah.
I would probably agree.
You're not
unless there's weird seeding and they end up having to play the Celtics in round 2 or something and it's a competitive series.
There are always things that can have injuries could derail it too. Obviously, if Cat and Jalen Brunson get injured, they don't make it to the conference championship. I'm not going to look at it and be like, wow, this is a disappointing season. They had nobody.
Let's think back a year ago, literally to the day with the Dame trade and how Dame and Giannis were under like a lot of pressure to perform in year one, and that didn't happen. So it is not necessarily a reset in New York, but it's year one with Jalen and Cat and McCallum.
That is the thing. Like for this team being, the second seed in the East last season, they do have a much different looking team because of the moves that they made in the summer to get Bridges, to get Towns. You lose Hartenstein, you lose DiVincenzo. So it is a much different looking team. Final thing on this question before we move on. I think a player that could be talked about, not in the sense of, for their career yet, but for their team to be successful, I think Anthony Edwards has a legit case for this question because with the trading of Karl Anthony Towns to New York, they are fully, depending on Anthony Edwards to have another jump to become one of the top players in the world in order to be successful or come close to where they were last season. So in order for that to happen, they need Anthony Edwards to take that jump because right now when you look at the rest of the Wolves, lots of solid all-around pieces. They do have a deep team now that they've made this trade, and now DiVincenzo is on the bench with Reed, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But which of those guys is going to be the legit number 2? I think Randall could because of the numbers that he has put up, but they're going to need, Anthony Edwards to really shine there in Minnesota. That's where it's all going to start and end with, is how Anthony Edwards progresses.
100%. That's why I have him as a top MVP candidate because I believe he can do it.
Solid, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely got the opportunity to make that jump for sure. Timberwolves have given him the keys. Moving on, what are you going to say, Jackson?
I mean, I think you could even say like not a top tier guy, but like Evan Mobley is another guy you could make a debate for on this. I mean, in theory, because he's just one of those guys that like everyone's been expecting a jump for how long, and he hasn't made it yet. And there's other guys, but I think he's just the one that automatically like always comes to my head.
Yeah, he's definitely another player that's like, obviously not like Anthony Edwards as far as like the number 1 player, but in order for the Cavs to make a jump that they could legitimately make, Evan Mobley has to become the second best player on the Cavaliers.
Based off of that preseason game, he's looking like it.
I'm loving it. It just comes down to the consistency.
It does have to have a consistency. Hopefully with the offensive head coach, it looked like he's being more aggressive, especially on the offensive end. Hopefully he can carry it. If he does, I'm more than happy.
Definitely excited to see how he plays.
You said it's your last year that you're putting on him, Miles.
That is very true. So he's for me personally, he is definitely under a lot of pressure. Question number 22, the most anticipated milestone this upcoming season. This is one that we added over the last couple days, just because there's a lot of different things that could happen here. Nick, you want to go first with this one?
I do. Yeah, I thought of this one today. I came across something that was interesting, and I'd like to share it. So it involves the GFF, Brooklyn Nets, of course, and it involves our hometown Cleveland Cavaliers. And I'll give you guys a bit of tidbit of information. In 2010, does anyone want to guess what the Cavs record was? 2010, 2011?
Well, it was 2010, 2011?
It was really bad.
Yeah, that was the year after LeBron left the first time. It was
year one? That's year one. Okay.
19 and 63?
Correct.
Yeah.
We're 19 and 63. In that year, opponents shot the 3-point at an all-time record against the Cleveland Cavaliers at 41.14% clip that entire 82-game season.
Wow,
so
that's insane. That's
obviously,
a good
my milestone, my record that's going to be broken is that the GFF, the Brooklyn Nets, are going to break that record this year and put the Cavs' 2010 horrible season laid to rest, finally.
You think teams are going to shoot 42% or better from three on the GFF? I can see that, honestly. I love that. That is great.
That is incredible. I'm actually going to look and see what the average was or whatever last year, or what the worst one opponent 3-point percentage was last year. But no, it'd be great if that could happen, because last season, the Pistons lost one more game than that Cavs losing streak. So that losing streak is now put to bed. If all those records could now be, over with, then, that'd be awesome for us Cavs fans.
Yeah, that was an insane stat, 41.14%.
That is horrendous defense. That's all I gotta say. My Lord.
That is unbelievable.
It actually doesn't even seem accurate now that I'm saying. I'm going to jump and double check.
No, that is crazy. Let's see. That is preseason. Let's see. I'm trying to look at last season.
Oh, 3-point percentage.
Yeah, the opponent 3-point percentage. So the worst 3-point defense in the league last season was the Utah Jazz at 39.5%. So right under 40%.
Yeah, that's in the realm, man.
No, that is definitely in the realm. That's usually where teams the last few seasons finish. Where the worst teams in the league finish. 39, 37%. So it'd have to be incredible, though. Like that'd be something else.
So the Cavs allowing 40% is nuts.
That one might be tough, just because I feel like the Nets, if anything's going to be good for them, it's going to be their defense this year. Because I feel like they got a bunch of good defensive role players.
They got Cam Thomas.
Let me have fun with my prediction.
And Jackson, I was going to say, they may get thrown off because of Bojan's forehead. They're just going to be staring at him.
I mean, come on.
If you know, you know. All right. Joey, you go ahead. What is your most anticipated milestone or potential record-breaking thing this season?
I think I was trying to find out the 3-point, because it's getting crazy that all the 3-pointers and all that kind of stuff, and they always have been, but more recently it seems. I think the single game 3-point record will be broken. I think it was 14 by Klay Thompson, right? By a player, yeah. I think it's going to be Trae Young.
So he would have to.
I don't know if he's going to break. I don't know if he might break it, but I think he will at least tie it. So he will also be a share at the top.
Okay.
So I'm not going to guarantee that he's going to break it, but for sure, I think he's going to at least be a shareholder of that title. Or that record.
I like
He'll probably hit 13 and brick the game winner, the buzzer.
Trae Young with hitting 14 threes. Man, 2 years ago, Keegan Murray hit 12. That was last year. Or no, that was last year.
That was last year.
That was December 2023.
12. He had 45 points that game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But what if that, individual record, that just gets broken by someone completely unexpected? Because remember, there was that time before Steph Curry broke the record in 2017, where it was a tie between Kobe Bryant and Donyell Marshall for 12 threes in a game.
Yo.
And even Kobe, he's not a crazy 3-point shooter or anything like that, but he had a game where he was just on fire.
How many threes did he take that game? 40?
It probably took a lot.
Let's take a look. We gotta
Dude,
find the stats.
Jordan Poole's about to take like 53s one game, and he's gonna hit like 15 of them.
Jordan Poole's gonna have
Loki, Cam Thomas could also just chuck up a bunch of threes.
Kobe was 12 for 18 from 3 that game. That's actually really efficient.
Okay, 12 for 18 is actually really good.
All right,
Kobe
Lights out.
Dude,
That is
had to
really
be crazy.
good.
Breaking the record 12 threes in 2003 had to be insane.
Oof.
For us youngins, that would have been crazy. But Jackson, you go ahead next.
We weren't even alive to see it.
That is very true. But Jackson, what is your most anticipated milestone?
I mean, mine's kind of a layup. It's a pretty easy one. I'm just excited to see Kevin Durant most likely pass 30K points. He needs like 1,200 to do it. But I think it's fairly easy. He averages like 2,000-ish a season, like a healthy, good season for Kevin Durant. So I think it's in the realm of possibility, like pretty easily. I mean, if he averages 20 points a game for like 60 games, and he averages way more than that. So I think he'll break it. And I think it's kind of under the radar that he's this close to 30K, honestly, because, people just haven't really talked about it that much.
Well, the word you're looking for there is the reason is LeBron.
Yeah.
That was a huge deal back in 2017 going into the year where LeBron got the 30,000 points. Like, that was a big thing going in. I think as we get closer and closer, that'll probably get talked about more and more. For mine, I have a couple. I have one that's kind of a reach as far as a milestone. Steph Curry, the king of 3-point shooting, all-time best shooter to ever play the game. He is, I believe, let's see, he's 200 or so threes away from, 253 3-pointers away from hitting 4,000 for his career. And that's right around, his normal mark for 3. So I think he definitely could do that, become the first player ever to hit 4,000 threes in a career, which is just insane.
That would be
4,000
insane.
threes.
I was going to say, he could definitely do that. He's hit 300 in a season before.
Yeah. The reason why I said long stretches because I did not do mental math correctly. I thought it was going to be 300, but he could totally do 253 3-pointers in a season. But another one that I kind of brought here as well was James Harden, also creeping up in the 3-point rankings here. Pulling this so I have the stat here. Yes, he's 63s away from hitting 3,000 threes. He'd only be the second player ever. He's very close to becoming number 2 in 3-pointers made all time behind Ray Allen. And it's just kind of crazy because James Harden's a guy that, we know to be one of the greatest scorers to ever play. But when you talk about best shooters of all time, he's not really a guy that comes up a whole lot, but he totally should for the incredible shots he was able to make in his prime in Houston off the dribble. That step back 3 was patented. It was unguardable.
Agreed.
No one has been able to replicate it on that consistent level like we saw from James Harden.
And then he added the double step back, the double travel, take 6 steps, chuck it up. It's going in, boy. You can't guard it.
He at that time with the Houston Rockets and the MVP days, man, he was the most unguardable player on offense.
Yeah,
definitely one of the all-time great shooters, though, as well. Yes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we see him, Jackson. He's a legend.
Fear the beard.
Hold him up. Hold him up.
Hold him up.
He's behind Squirtle. Put the lemon head.
Mr. Lemoncello has come back.
Yeah,
Nick
he wants to see James Harden.
Mr. Lemoncello wants to see Nick. But it's just great. All these NBA legends from our time as they're getting up there in age still gonna break some crazy records, and it's definitely, very, very exciting.
Absolutely.
100%.
Moving on to question number 23. It's already up here. Who will have the most triple doubles this season? This is the ranking of who had the most last season. Domantas Sabonis for the Kings had the most by 1, and then Jokic, Luka, Giannis, and then Josh Hart, baby. Ball it in there at number 5 on the list here. Let's see. Joey, you go first. Who do you think will have the most triple doubles this season?
Okay, so this may be very controversial.
Oh, Lord.
I think it's going to be Luka Doncic.
Oh yeah, so controversial.
So controversial. No, I think it's going to be Luka. I think he's going to have. I think he's going to have around 30.
I thought bro was about to say Ben Simmons. I was like,
oh my god! If I said Ben Simmons, I would throw myself off a bridge.
What's wrong with that answer? That's mine.
No, stop.
You guys both have Luka?
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
Oh, I got Sabonis. I think it'll be Sabonis because he won it last year. He is an all-time great rebounder that he will consistently be getting double-digit figures and rebounds. And then he added another shot maker in DeMar that he's going to be diamond up in addition to De'Aaron Fox and other guys like Keegan Murray or Trey Lyles. Sorry, Trey Lyles.
Hey, you got those little handoffs that he was doing in the preseason to DeMar. Those are instant those are instant assists. I mean,
he gets like 4 or 5 assists per game just off that play. Like it just comes so easy. You just hand it back to the guy and he makes the shot. It makes it really easy.
I like that pick. Good answer.
Triple double leaders. There are definitely, a handful of guys you can pick. There's definitely, there's not a whole lot. I think Luka, Sabonis definitely good. I'm going with Jokic again. He's just so incredible. I think they'll all be very, very close. I just think Jokic will do it. Talking about triple double leaders, talking about NBA records, Nikola Jokic is currently 4th all time in triple doubles. He's 8 away from passing Magic Johnson for 3rd place, but he should be able to next season pass his teammate Russell Westbrook for 1st place all time. He's currently 69 triple doubles behind of Russell.
He's doing it this season.
Watch him get 70 triple doubles. That'd be unbelievable. But yeah, that is crazy, Jackson. You mentioned it. Jokic being this close to Russell Westbrook when Westbrook's had, his career is still going on, but it's been a legit, this is his 17th, 18th season, or no, not 17th season in the league. And Jokic, this is his 9th, and he's already pretty darn close to catching up to Russell Westbrook.
To be fair, crazy. Russell did have 2 full seasons where he had 2 to 3 full seasons where he averaged a triple double.
Yeah, he's definitely. Sabonis is quietly 11th on this all-time list, and Ben Simmons tied for 14.
Stop. We have mentioned Ben Simmons way too much on this podcast for my liking today.
He'll be one soon. He will be number 1.
We barely talked about the GFF. I'm just putting it out there. It's way too much.
He's going to be number 1 soon, Joey.
We got to talk about the GFF now before the regular season starts, and we're not watching the game. Well, no, Jackson. Joey will watch. Joey will watch Brooklyn Nets games.
Oh God!
All right.
Once he gets hurt and is out for the rest of the year, then I'll watch.
Okay, that's right. All right, question number 24. Another award-based question, our lone award question for this episode: Defensive Player of the Year. Now, this is one that definitely has an overwhelming favorite. In Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs. Assuming who has Victor Wembanyama in this thing? Yeah, okay. Makes a lot of sense.
So what I'm hearing is Miles is a hater.
Wemby.
Well, no, here's the thing. Victor Wembanyama, there's a reason he's the favorite for this. He probably is going to win this thing. He is incredible. The numbers are sensational. He's going to be historic. He definitely has the potential. I was seeing this the other day. He definitely has the potential to break Mark Eaton's record, I believe, for most blocked shots in a season. He definitely has
I don't know. Hold on. Because I was looking that up because I knew we had the record thing coming up.
Okay.
And Mark Eaton averaged 5.5 blocks per game.
That
is crazy.
Get that record. He's got over 400 something blocks in a season. And it averaged out to over 5.5 blocks per game. I didn't think Wemby was capable of that. I'm sorry.
He's already at 3.5 though in 25 minutes. That's why I'm thinking it definitely could happen. Okay. It could happen in his prime. That's unbelievable. An incredible record like that, and that could potentially get broken by Victor Wembanyama.
It's been 40 years. 40 years.
We'll see if it could happen. But My only thing with Victor Wembanyama winning this award is I still don't think that the Spurs are going to win enough games to warrant that type of recognition. Usually, when you're Defensive Player of the Year, you have to be one of the better defensive teams, um,
Oh, I know who you're
and
gonna
even
say.
be competitive, in the playoffs and all that. And if the Spurs aren't in it, then I think there's a realistic reason to not give the award to him. They didn't give it to him last season. So as far as that goes, I think Rudy Gobert has the potential again this season. If he won a Defensive Player of the Year this year, he would have the most all time, which would be incredible. It'd be his fifth.
Deserve.
But to me, I'm gonna go with a guy who hasn't won the award before, but one that I think does have a chance, and it's gonna be Bam from Miami. I think Bam Adebayo, because he can guard 1 through 5, he's gonna be on a very good defensive team that will be competitive in the Eastern Conference. For sure, is gonna have a good defense, as I said. I think he definitely has a decent shot to win it, but I mean, Wemby, it's hard going against Wemby at this point. I think that Wemby still has one more year to go because I think next year is the year where the Spurs start to legitimately be competitive.
Yeah, and then he's
well
winning.
said.
He's gonna win every single DPOY after that. By the way.
Yeah, that's the
Let
thing.
him know.
Everyone else has to go for it this year because then it's his award to lose. They're gonna name the award after that man when it's all said and
Yeah,
done.
Do you think
literally.
voter fatigue will ever kick in, or do you just think it's gonna be like Tim Duncan in 2K, where like they give him like 15 straight DPOYs? Because that happens
Uh,
all the time.
Voter fatigue could kick in.
Because 2K doesn't believe in voter fatigue.
No,
I
it
played
just-
one simulation. Tim Duncan won 20 in a row. I was like, dude, what?
That tracks.
Another thing too, Victor Wembanyama, this season he could potentially fall in the Anthony Davis type of realm where, well, he's another guy that could definitely win the award as well this year. But
Mhm.
Anthony Davis was a guy where at the beginning of his career, he was looking sensational on both sides of the ball. And when it came time for Defensive Player of the Year voting, everyone was like, oh, or same with MVP. Like, oh, he'll win, 3 or 4 of these, later in his career. So we'll give it to someone now because he has plenty of years to win this award. And Anthony Davis has not won either of these. But it's interesting. Victor Wembanyama could fall in that type of case where he is expected to do it so much later in his career that they try to ease it a little bit to start. That's definitely a potential, but I
Unless
hope
he
that
averages
doesn't happen.
6 blocks a night this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he averages 6 blocks a game, then
Even
really
if he
don't have a
averages
choice.
4 blocks
That
a
is
game
light
and like a
work.
steal and a half, he gets the award.
I average 6 blocks a game in my sleep.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, all right.
Okay.
Victor Wembanyama. Let's see. Over under 5.5, or I won't go that high. 3.5
Yeah,
5x5s this season because it's so rare to see the 5x5s.
He had one last year, right?
I think he had one.
I think he had one. I'm gonna go under.
What
I
is
don't
that?
think he gets. I think he
5
gets 2.
5
Bricks,
points, rebounds,
3
blocks,
points.
assists, steals.
Points,
Oh.
rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Not 3-pointers or turnovers.
Turnovers,
be-
Draymond Green can get that.
Draymond
Right.
was one of the closer ones to do it.
I say under. I think he's going to do it 3 times.
I think he'll do 2 or 3. I don't think he'll do.
I think he
Over
does 5.
Joey's
5
believing.
5x5s.
I'd be at
Joey's
6x5.
believing.
The 3
What?
5s.
Definitely unbelievable that we can talk about that kind of stuff with a
Yeah.
player this young. It really is so special that we get to
He was
see him.
he's going into his 2nd season and we're talking like this.
Unbelievable. And it's all warranted. Like
It is.
it's all warranted. All right, final question for this episode. And it is a pretty big one. Question number 25. Who will win the Emirates NBA Cup? They changed the name from the in-season tournament because they hated it. Fans hated it, so they changed it to the NBA Cup. Reminder for the teams, the group draw results, as I'm trying to find them myself. Here are all the groups of the teams to potentially win the NBA Cup. Of course, the last season, it was the Los Angeles Lakers that won it all against the Indiana Pacers coming out of
I'd
the
I'd rather win the cup than get a ring. I'm not gonna lie.
You're crazy.
You
Yeah,
get
what?
500K.
That is the worst take you've ever had on this podcast.
Dude, I
I'm
guarantee you, you get so much more money for winning the championship too. Let's see. Nick, you start us off. Who do you think is going to win the NBA Cup? This is one of those that it can kind of be a toss-up, but I'm interested to hear if any of our picks we think we're actually going to go on to go deep in the playoffs or anything like that as
Who
well.
won it last year?
The Lakers.
The Lakers.
Yes, the Lakers.
Blood.
Well, I don't want to say pull out your tinfoil hats, but I do have a bit of a conspiracy for the NBA Cup this year.
Okay.
So in the East, I think it'll be the gritty New York Knicks that can make it out of their pool and make it all the way out to Vegas and are in the finals for the the semifinals, and the finals for the NBA Cup. And in the West, you know who I'm picking. I think it's going to be Minnesota, and we're going to have a Minnesota versus New York NBA Cup. Very high drama. I would love to see that happen out in Vegas. So I'm going to pick Minnesota. I think Minnesota is going to win the cup.
There's going to be fights at the nightclubs and all the bars around there after that game. If that happens.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be fights during the game, out on the streets, and all the nightclubs when all the players are fighting each other again. It's not going to stop.
But then the Nova Knicks, the reunion in Vegas on the Strip, they bring DiVincenzo back into the fold.
You know what? That's a good storyline. That's definitely
This is a
good,
WWE storyline. Is Roman Reigns coming back too?
Oh my goodness gracious! But no, the Timberwolves. I like that. I like that pick for sure. The Timberwolves. Although something that I thought about with this, because we kind of saw it with the Pacers too, a young team with a lot of rookie contracts and guys that want to get paid this money.
True.
That's the only thing with the Timberwolves. Although they could definitely make it to the playoffs despite all that.
But what I'm hearing is it's going to be the Wizards.
Stop.
Well, no, the probable pick for that would be Oklahoma City, but I do not have the Thunder doing
You
this.
didn't take the Thunder?
I have them doing better things.
Oh.
Uh,
Well, not according to Godwin.
yes. All right, Joey, who do you have as the NBA Cup winners this season?
In the East, I'm trying to think. Can you pull up the group? Because I know who I have winning, and it's in the West. But in the East, because I like what Nick did, I'll probably say the Bucks. I think the Bucks are going to win out of group and go to Vegas, and then I think they're going to play the Suns, and I think the Suns are going to win it. If they make it out of that group with OKC, the Lakers, and the Spurs, and the Jazz are there too. But if they make it out of that group, I think they're set. Because that's the toughest group right there.
No way. West C is way tougher.
Oh, West C is unbelievable, dude.
Oh, I did forget about West C. Yeah,
I got a team from West C, by the way.
Oh, really?
Who is
I
it?
do.
A team?
The
Oh,
Mavericks.
okay.
I think the Mavericks are going to beat the Pacers. I think just looking off last year,
Pacers
I think,
back-to-back appearances.
I
Wow.
think just because in the regular season, their fast-paced nature and their scoring matters a lot more than it did in the playoffs and stuff, or it would in the playoffs. And the Mavericks are kind of the same way. So I feel like they're just gonna face off in the championship, and they're both gonna score 170 points or something.
I was gonna say, talk about a game with no defense. Talk about a game with no defense.
I would love that. That's a good pick.
I mean, I don't know. I think if they both get out of their things, I think they'll be fine. Yeah, I think they got a tough division, little division thing, but I don't think Nikola Jokic cares about this. 500K is nothing to him, so he's not going to try very hard. And Zion, who knows if Zion will be playing by that time. So their division might be a little easier than we think.
That is true. Oh,
Goglin would love to see Zion in Vegas at one of those all-you-can-eat buffets.
That's the thing with this cup. There's so many incredibly hilarious storylines that we can get out of Vegas. All right, so you three all had Western
Clippers with James Harden.
Oh, dude, not James Harden.
You'll get the wings at the club.
Little baby's gonna be there. You got who else?
Oh, flying
Lil
Lou
Baby-
Williams.
Lil Baby's gonna suit up for the Clippers while they're in Vegas because he's gonna be there with James Harden.
So you just fly in Lou Williams, and then it's all set,
Have you seen Lil Baby's shot form? It's so bad.
dude. Oh my goodness. Well, so
Lil
look,
Baby,
you three all had Western Conference teams pulling it out. Okay, so I have an Eastern Conference team. I would really love to see this matchup in Vegas in the championship matchup. I'm going to go with the 76ers winning the NBA Cup against the Denver Nuggets. I want to see Jokic versus Embiid in the championship game. And I think that it definitely could happen because even like the 500K thing, like when you're playing in these games, you're not really thinking about the money. I feel like if you're the Denver Nuggets, and they are a team that does have a lot of young guys that are definitely going to want to get, that money that those veterans are going to want to play for, like a Strother, a Brown, a Watson. Philadelphia, definitely tough out of the Eastern Conference, but I don't know, man. I feel like it'd be perfect for Joel Embiid to have an NBA Cup championship, but no conference finals appearance.
I was about to say, but does he do well in the playoffs,
It
Miles?
would make me hate Bro more, honestly. Like, I'd hate him more.
Although I'd love to see a Denver-Philly matchup, though. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Because that'd be a situation where there's no way Embiid does not play if healthy. There's no way.
He's not going to be fine. Well, we don't know about Paul George either, though.
That is
At
true,
this very
but that's
moment.
still, that's the thing. It is definitely early enough in the season. If it isn't the Sixers, I'd probably go the Bucks out of the
Dude,
Eastern Conference.
the Hawks are kind of a little. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Hawks. I really would.
Dude, if the Hornets were in a different group, I would be like, man, make it to the semifinals.
Yeah.
Hey, look, dude,
Miles on the
it was like-
Hornets.
this is the irony of it all. I remember during the offseason, Nick was talking about the Hornets potentially being the Pacers from last year. And hey, Pacers made it deep in the in-season tournament. Maybe it could be the Hornets.
Miles, you remember last year when I got my hopes up in the in-season tournament because the Rockets were 1 win away?
Oh, the Rockets were balling in that game. What is their group? But the Rockets actually have a pretty decent chance. They're probably in the worst group.
They
in the West.
are. Yeah.
So the Rockets definitely have a shot at this.
I'm not getting my hopes up. That would be like, that'd be better than anything ever. I'd probably faint if we won the cup.
To the NBA Cup.
What if it was the Rockets versus the Sixers, and then the Sixers win?
I'd cry. I'd break everything. I'd break everything ever. I think I would throw a temper tantrum. I'd probably cry.
The hatred for the Sixers couldn't get any more, could it?
I'd actually be at the game because I'd go there and I'd probably shoot Joel Embiid's knee with a spud gun.
What is all right.
Joel Embiid torn ACL. How did it happen? He got a shot with a spud gun.
Okay, I think that is our cue to close things up.
Oh,
do you guys have
no.
anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer after that.
All right, shout out to
Imagine-
Bojan Bogdanovic. We love the Brooklyn Nets.
You go to the club in Vegas and you see Bojan Bogdanovic with his big forehead. You're probably having a seizure, dude. You're probably like, who is this guy?
Okay. Guys, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Leave a comment with your thoughts on a lot of these questions. The NBA Cup winner, Defensive Player of the Year, historic record that you hope to see broken. Next episode, the final one of the preseason, where we go over the final 5 burning questions, including the MVP, our finals predictions, who will lead the league in scoring. Very excited to get to that episode. So yes, again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.